So, but yeah, Hurix, that's why we stay in Lemon Kiwi. You know why? Because I might have Wub in my head, but I got Trick Room in my heart, man. This team has been there through and through, from the old roots of them being G-Force with their whole ball one-trick thing to what they are now.
Cast without saying
the
G-Force,
Sombra
man.
of St. Louis, my favorite Overwatch roster of all time, and now look at where they are. The bones of it, granted, not really the flesh and organs, but there's a few of them in there, playing up against the Vancouver Titans, a roster that I think looked pretty good yesterday. I think Zoe put it right. Not flashy, but certainly very solid.
Yeah, I think Titans definitely have a pretty bright future. I mean, you look at the bones there, and the structures, I mean, it's great. I mean, obviously you have Lenny, who is, or rather, Sugar-Free. Yeah, that's right. I know him as Lenny's, whatever. You know, an incredible player, especially when we get to see him on the Tracer. Well, guess what? This is a meta where we get to see that quite often. Aspire, on the other hand, as well, just bringing in just so many different picks where he can be high impact, especially when we get to see him on snipers at some point. Really looking forward to that. We have, of course, seen a little bit of the Hanzo, and I think Titans really like that composition. I think that's another reason why they do like to play a little bit more of the Ram composition as opposed to things like Reinhardt or the Dives, because they can really play to the strengths of their players. But yeah, Trick Room.
We're sleeping on something here. Hey, he prefers the Ram to the Ryan, but you forget which Ryan he's playing into. This is no mere mortal on Reinhardt. This is someone different. Ryan.
Infected fresh out of recess right now as well. Back again on the ball. I mean, this is where things got started. This exact same setup, right? I mean, coming up into Antarctic Peninsula. But something unique, I think, for Trick Room here is that they love to typically approach this map with the Ryan composition as opposed to what we see them coming out with now, which is a ton of chaos, a ton of disruption, all about bringing in that ball and just trying to cause, I mean, first of all, find that isolation, cause some chaos, and really just look for those single targets. And that's exactly what they're doing here, and they found one already.
I'm telling you, man, if there's anything I ever talk about this team with, it's fluidity. You think of normal dive teams, they dive, they reset, they go for cooldowns, they dive again. Trick Room are always on. Their ability to maintain pressure consistently with the ball comp is really what impresses me, and that's what did it there.
All right, what can Titans do to turn this around? Obviously, we do see Spire here, swapping, now going over to the Cassidy. They want that ability to, you know, help to mark those flankers. Right now, it was just Faith, and now with that change, Spire can help out against Boat and help out against Infected, but it's still not enough.
Oh my god! How's this man alive? Get him an ambulance, please! The health bar just won't go up. Oh god, yeah. No, you're definitely losing. That's effectively a dead tank, and the rest of his team should be picked off pretty promptly, but they've all just kind of absconded from the point. They are all absent as Infected is from school right now, and trying to figure out where exactly to play. Vancouver Titans can't find them. They lost the game of hide and go seek. Trick Room are all back alive and ready to play again.
Trick Room, I mean, they can get back into this fight really quickly, and the big thing here is that Titans, they need to play off tempo. They really need to play off of that Nemesis and then go together and play into that brawl with the Ramatra, but it is just, the timings are impossible to gauge. Infected's just everywhere at once.
You can't escape him. He is omniscient, all-knowing. Fortunately, it doesn't seem so easy for Trick Room to win the fight leveraging their man being literally everywhere at once, but the dive is found unsuccessful. They can't get the wrap on Titans. You're noticing they can't actually find the angles to surround them to make this dive happen, and that's largely due to Sugar-Free and Aspire guarding those flanks.
Yeah, I think that is a big thing that we saw from that swap. Remember, we talked about it already. Aspire going over to the Cassidy means that it doesn't just fall to Sugar-Free or Faith to be able to match Boat or match Infected and try to see if they can find some damage there. Now Sugar-Free is actually able to follow Infected in some cases, which helps really keep that pressure and apply it from engage to engage.
Well, speaking of engages, one falls somewhat flat from Infected as the slam puts him onto the low ground. Finds the Tracer at low HP though, forces recall. It's Trick Room still bolstered by the sound barrier, looking for an engagement. Mines are in Deadeye. Oh my lord, we've pressed every Q button in the game, save for Pulse Bomb if we're Trick Room. I mean, they won the fight, but was it worth it, Hurix?
I mean, that was a big cost right there. We call that expensive for sure, especially coming into this next fight where, you know, Titans, I mean, they're going to have Annihilation, they're going to have the sound barrier. I mean, Titans should be in a great spot to just really force a brawl here however they really want to. As long as they can close that distance, get into someone's face from Trick Room, they're going to be able to dish out a ton of pressure and not have to take too much themselves.
Not yet. They bet the house on the last fight. Let's see if they're feeling lucky right now. Though the pulse bomb, great! Oh, shuts down the Annihilation as well. Punk falls alongside the ultimate. Fight falling apart slowly for Titans, but Trick Room have to be able to capitalize. After losing Infected, it's not going to be so easy. And when tanks are gone, you know what I always say here, because it comes down to the DPS, and right now it's just Sugar Free and Aspire cleaning up.
Great pick there coming in as well. Sugar Free just being able to help follow up from Aspire, applying pressure, forcing the recall out from Boat, and then Sugar Free, knowing that that cooldown was gone, can go ahead and take that duel freely, especially with some extra health. Now Titans setting back up, especially with this Winston now, as you see from both sides, as Infected also made that swap. This is a dire situation here for Trick Room already.
Trick Room diving, they have to win before the ultimates come up, but the DPS ultimates are still there, and it's Infected who pays the price for it first, finding himself dead about as quickly as you could expect. I mean, we saw this one coming a couple fights ago. Trick Room invested everything into taking that point back, and they paid the price Vancouver came to claim.
Huge right there. Punk calling it out a little bit, but I don't think Maypal's going to let that one slide.
He just doesn't care.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem when you're playing against contenders teams is like, okay, Atlanta could talk a lot of smack last game, but like when you're talking smack in a close game, contenders players, they don't care. They're immune to BM.
It happens.
It's absurd.
Much. They live through American Tornado. You can't hurt them anymore. Saw that play there as well. Sugar Free just able to clean things up. Again, the level of communication there is clearly solid for Titans, and this is where I think Trick Room can find a little bit more stability. We talked about, you know, that Bastion Rhine Rush composition. Well, here it is on display, and it's actually Titans. They're going to be going over to the ball themselves, and we have seen teams try this composition against the Rhine Rush, and it's admittedly been hit or miss despite the level of pressure and disruption that Farah can bring to the table.
Yeah, I feel like we're watching a living version of the Spider-Man pointing meme right now, because they've just swapped sides in terms of compositions. But I mean, in theory, I believe the Ryan comp to be better here, but Vancouver Titans clearly disagree with me, trying to put everything on Sugar Free in the far, and it is a character he is notably good at, but is he good at it when he's on the wrong end of the Bastion? Ooh, good enough to live, but it's Aspire who goes down.
Now, one of the things here with Trick Room is that they need something to kind of point at and then run at. I think Titans are doing a good job of making sure that there isn't anything that they can just kind of go wheels down on, right? I mean, it's typically walls up, wheels down, and Trick Room can't really get that process going because Titans are just playing from every angle, and now they cause enough of that chaos that we talked about before, where they're now able to get control of the fight. And you see Boat making that swap. Instead of Bummy being the Sombra, this time it's going to be Boat actually pulling that one out as Pummy goes over to the Cassidy. So a little bit more of that suppressing fire to be able to help to deal with Sugar Free, take him out of the sky, or even maybe apply some pressure to Faith, go forward, have that burst damage as well to deal with Punk. There's a lot more options that you get with this composition here now.
Diamond in the backline for Aspire. He's got a pulse bomb in tow, and all of Trick Room can smell it on him, just threatening the option of the ultimate. Use it still being zoned. It's Hanbei who falls first. They spend it too long looking at the Tracer. Sugar Free flies above them and shuts them down. Infected's able to trade one back, but I think that's all it's going to be.
Another great fight coming in from Titans. Already such a good start. I mean, obviously a lot of fans behind Trick Room after what we saw transpire yesterday, but Titans looking to hush that one up if they can. Trick Room, though, it's not lost just yet. Going to be coming into this next fight and looking to get up into Titan's face. That's something that they have struggled with so far in this matchup, but Boat could help them out with that, applying that pressure from the backside, turning attention away, but it's not him that they need to worry about.
You know, sometimes the barrage feels obvious, but it's good nevertheless. I mean, thrown in, there was nothing to shut down Sugar Free. The Sombra is all the way back. Trick Room, I mean, we have to think this is the exact swaps with the Sombra and the Cassidy that we saw them bring in the finals against Saints that brought them maps over Saints, but it's just not doing the same thing against Titans right now.
Trick Room struggling to get that same value we saw from them on this map back in the qualifiers especially. Now they're looking to get in. They have to make sure that they play the point from here on out. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult.
Pummy doesn't take the damage. He wanted the kill on Sugar Free. Oh God, he gets it through the slimmest of angles. You could put a card through it. And with Sugar Free gone, I mean, that's really the problem solved for Trick Room.
And now on top of that as well, Trick Room can actually help to stabilize themselves because of the fact that they're going to be able to set up on these defensive positions where they're going to be holding out. And Titans and Sugarfree more specifically know that that's going to be the case. And we're actually seeing Sugarfree coming out on the Sojourn. That's something that we didn't really see at all yesterday. They're pulling that out here now.
It's going to be a tough fight for Titans. They've got no ultimates into the EMP, and oh god, it's caught everybody. Infected charges from the back and kills 2 people with it. I mean, this is what we wanted out of Iz Reinhardt, and we're getting it. 50% on the point. Job's not done for Trick Room.
To see what Spire can do with this pulse bomb. Perhaps they can stick someone in that back line, force a cooldown out like the Immortality, or maybe even just really focus down someone like Infected. Spire has been pretty good about this in the past, getting that set up for his team, and you see actually that shift now over to the Ramatra, which I do like, but this is hard to play into Trick Room, admittedly.
Yeah, with the Amplification Matrix and the Shatter available, like, you can only shield one of those 2 things. In fact, his shield's gone. He backs up knowing that Infected has a Shatter. You cannot play without your shield cooldown if you're Punk, but you also need your shield cooldown to block 2 separate things. This is a no-win situation for Titans, who are trying to play neutral into a comp they're just kind of never going to play neutral into. There's the Amplification Matrix up into the first shield. Infected, in theory, just has a free Shatter right now. Titans are playing so passive because they know it's available, but that means more things are coming up in the meantime. Nano Boost available for Crimzo, waiting for the Shatter. It lands on the Ramatra. Nano Boost saves his life, but it's a Spire who goes down for a Trick Room. Now just got to survive. They can survive the ultimates. They can come back with that 4v5 advantage, and they live. The health bars remain up. Trick Room remain alive, and now's their moment to strike back here. It's been just long enough. Pushing forward into the Nemesis form of Punk. The hacks are out. The Deadeye's available for Pummy. He storms forward, trying to dodge the railgun, and he gets Crimzo down. Trick Room have run back Icebreaker.
Oh man, 199, stealing that one away. It's just as soon as they get their bearings, as soon as they get their feet underneath them, and you can see that match rush now, Trick Room know full well where they want this series to go. They know exactly what they want to do with this matchup. They want to go ahead and just install that mirror, make sure that Titans feel that ego pressure, right?
And Titans, I mean, they're feeling the ego pressure. You saw how Trick Room responded to being BM'd in the chat. Titans aren't taking it quite as well, you know? They're saying no, they're trying to have fun with it, but man, it just feels so much more threatening when you're up against a wild card team like Trick Room. And notably, the next map that we're coming into, down underground, this is where the Bastion was born. Notably, Trick Room were the team that innovated the Bastion Rush composition into the meta in the first place. So if anybody knows how to make it work, it's here, it's Trick Room, it's now.
And you can see Punk playing so far back here. This is really smart from Titans. They know full well that if they can test this one-to-one in a neutral environment, they're going to get walled, they're going to get ran at. It's going to be walls up, wheels down, just like we talked about before. And he will get blown up. Even if he has that block and that Nemesis form, it simply won't be enough. And they have to be very careful about how they approach this fight. Otherwise, Pummy and the rest of Trick Room will just wear down Punk quickly.
Forced to drop onto the point. It was Crimzo who hit the sleep onto Pummy. Forced that position out. Now high ground belongs to Titans. Pummy out of the way. They can storm on forward. I mean, that's the big issue dealt with, unless maybe a pick comes out from both. This one's just going the way of Vancouver Titans off the back of that sleep from Crimzo.
Yeah, I mean, also just pushing Trick Room off the high ground as well. Just giving a huge advantage to Titans so that they could play some, off angles, especially with Aspire. You saw him working his way off to that left side on your screen here, and just really enabling those options to take those shots, not having to deal with Infected shield, not having to deal with the wall coming up from boat. You see now Trick Room actually opting to make a swap here, and this is exactly what we saw before. Same situation where we see that Cassidy brought in. It gives you a little bit more options. You saw already, they've proven they're not going to be allowed to run at Punk, but they found a new way in.
Boy! I mean, it's just a pick from boat. The guy just does it different. Diff proper yesterday, and now it's Aspire in his sights. Punk stuck. Basically sends to death. Dude, I swear, the magnetic grenade, it's like the black mark. You know, for the Pirates of the Caribbean one, where it's like, you're just gonna die. Like,
I wish I understood the reference, man.
Oh God. You're the old one here, man. You're supposed to get the references.
Apparently, it's just not working out for me, but
unlucky.
Titans, though, they're pretty close here to Annihilation, which should really help them out in this brawl. That's something to look out for. However, something that they are going to have to contest with is the Amp Matrix that could help stabilize Infected long enough for him to perhaps get a stun, but they might not even need it.
Oh my God, dude. Boat's an ice pick lobotomy machine. This guy has given it to him time and time again. And I mean, openers from your mate, forget ultimates, forget fight planning. If they happen, that's just it.
Yeah, now you don't have to worry about the pulse bomb. You still have all of the options that you had prior, and you still have Infected now even closer to actually getting that Earth Shatter. So while Titans probably want to use Aspire's Dragon Strike to kind of set the tone in this fight, cause some splitting. Oh, they might not even need it, actually. They already got that pick.
Oh, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, you know what? 1 for 8 there on bullets. 9, 10. Oh, boy. Observer's really not giving him an easy day. Trick Room fall with all 5 ultimates.
Great fight there from Titans. They maintained so much of the value that they went into that fight with. Trick Room coming back into this, though, again, I mean, you know that Titans are going to come into are going to try to contest Trick Room as they push in by having that Nemesis, having Soundbearer, having Crimzo's Nano Boost as well to set onto Punk, could even be put onto Sugar Free as another potential option. But there is the ability for Infected to shut a lot of what's coming down if they fall down to that low ground, and they're not giving that option to him.
Oh, this time it's Pummy going down. Trick Room invest. Remember, they have all 5 ultimates, but so do Titan. The Sound Barrier counters the Shatter and the Blizzard. That's insane value. And Nanobu saves the Ramatra. A late beat from Maple is what's trying to keep Trick Room alive in this fight. And if he can get away, it will have been worth it, but he's not able to. The health bar reset on Infected as well. The beat from Faith was just phenomenal, man.
Yeah, beautifully played, actually, from Titans. They were pulling those different resources away from Trick Room instead of the opposite way around, right? Trick Room would actually rather push in, force ultimates out of Titans, and then answer them with their own. This time around, though, Titans forced it out of Trick Room first, and then they were able to counter, which made it a lot easier for them to get value out of things like the Annihilation to help them win that fight. And now they're going to have Dragon Strike here pretty soon. They have that pick as well. Make it 2. Why not?
2 picks, the map on the line. Trick Room have fallen apart. It came down to 1 fight, but the fight where they tried to make that Pummy flank work, losing with all 5 ultimates up was just too much damage to take. Vancouver Titans, and I think Zoe again put it best with just consistency, nothing flashy. Take away map number 1.
Yeah, I think one of the big things we saw here too is the fact that not only do Titans look a lot better in this meta right now, but it also looks like clearly between Aspire and Sugar Free, if anybody was questioning, I don't know who would, but if anybody was questioning what this duo is going to be capable of once the season starts, throughout the season as well, it's time to put those questions aside. They're clearly answering them right now.
Yeah, this duo looks incredible. Pummy and Boat have played all right into them, but I mean, when you think about Pummy, you think about that Sombra. Boat gave us a good performance on the Tracer, but not quite enough to match the likes of Sugar Free. Shifting over to the Mei, he had impact, but never did it feel like both Pummy and Boat were on at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we typically see a lot more from, you know, their ball compositions. When you see them connecting onto isolated targets and they just go ahead and 3v1 pincer, typically that's where you see Trick Room just, I mean, just absolutely decimating teams. But we didn't really get as much of that so far in this first map here. Now, I think when we get ready to move into a map number 2, that's what I'm looking out for.
It's gonna be a close one. They ran it all the way against Titans for all 3 of those maps. We got more to come. I'm thinking this one might just go the distance, so stay tuned. We're throwing you guys to a break.
Gonna spy turn this one around. They've lost their jungle queen already, and he finds Hisu again. Starts off big. 4-4. Oh, make that a 4.
I'm a threat. It's a bed.
I'm telling you, fight is an insane brick player.
Man is down, but there's no more lifelines. L&L, and yet it might not matter. Sugar Crystal super early anti-air play.
These team hype videos hit different this season, I'm telling you. The Vancouver one, the London one, the NY, dude, I don't know what these editors and social media managers are cooking up, but it smells something delicious. As does this match, which is making itself out to be the best one of the day thus far. Vancouver Titans in Trick Room is heading to Hollywood for map number 2.
Yeah, and for anybody wondering, you know, why was there so much hype around Trick Room? Well, guess what? In map number 2, they were actually able to turn a series around yesterday against an Overwatch League team opponent. So, hey, why not today here again? We'll see what they're capable of. I mean, one thing that I did, certainly notice yesterday, and I think a lot of people were kind of surprised by, was the fact that Trick Room was just so good about breaking down Shock's structure and, you know, pushing them outside of their comfort zone. I think today I'm wondering if that can be repeated here against a Titans team that, certainly people weren't as high on coming in. I think Titans are gaining some respect here today, and rightfully so. But I'm curious to see if Trick Room can do that again.
Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I think Vancouver Titans, now they're feeling a little more comfortable. They're getting enough fun. Crimzo said the best one yet, dude. He says there's a classroom watch party going on to Infected. That's that's kind of cool, man.
The rollout TV. Do they still do that?
Oh, it's the rollout projector, you know? No, you're good, you're good. Well, I think the Zoomers might not get. I got it, though. You're good.
All right, getting started here. We're going to be moving into Hollywood, obviously. Let's see what Trick Room can do. Titans already up 1-0 and showing off what this, of course, this DPS duo especially is capable of, but really the whole team. Now you see Crimzo onto the Ana, so a little bit more investment towards enabling those teammates where, Crimzo, I remember back in the day, just popping off on this pick. Can't wait to see what they're going to do with it here. And Aspire onto the Sojourn. Again, a pick that Titans, we just haven't seen as much of that from them yesterday. Now we're seeing it more today.
I like this, though. I was talking to Wicca yesterday about what that Sojourn gives you. It's just extra dive pressure onto the back line. Unfortunately, it's not enough to actually win them this fight. Trick Room circumvent that in its entirety as Punk and Aspire not quite on the same page as they go in.
Yeah, Trick Room. Despite this being a very hard comp to, contest points with and, really provide a truly stable environment for the most part for a lot of teams. Trick Room know how to play this so well. They're able to contend with the dive. Punk diving in just met with pressure, forcing him back, and they're stabilizing, but that did not the case.
Yeah, rock and a hard place kind of situation for you at that point. Crimzo does get traded, though. Pummy with a nice flank. Boat's got a pulse bomb as well. The Uno reverse card has just been flipped on its head.
A lot like a DPS race to me. Both parties just saying, okay, you know what? If I keep holding down mouse 1, I might beat them out. I might have a little bit. I might reach the destination quicker. Nonetheless, though, Punk back in quickly. Everybody else from Titans was already in position. They're looking to pressure. There goes the pulse bomb. That's going to pull out the Immortality Field.
You're happy with that. Immortality Field for Pulse Bomb, pretty standard trade. Pummy's doing a great job harassing this flank, though. Making Sugar Free be anywhere but his backline. But right when Sugar Free's got time to reach his backline, he kills both of them. Mateball and Hanbei hit the dirt, and Trick Room don't really have much else. You mentioned it earlier. The contest for this comp isn't a particularly real thing. Maybe they can regroup a little with Punk down. I mean, the storyline changes a little bit, but I don't think there's a recontest here.
Yeah, no chance here. Trick Room, they're going to be pulling back to second section of this map where I think this composition gains a lot more value. However, with Titans onto this dive that they've been playing, they can really force a lot of pressure onto those high ground positions where Trick Room is going to want to play from. So look at this kind of triple stack setup as you see Pummy going forward. He's still going to have that protection behind him from Hanbei and Magic Mateball. So if Titans want to actually push through Trick Room, they're going to have to go through Hanbei and Magic Mateball, and that's a tough task.
Yeah, I mean, it's a one-way ticket to Painesville if you drive this high ground too directly. You're going to have to pull some cooldowns, but they've got some of their own, and it's almost certainly going to be the nano boost from Crimzo to start things off. Maybe the overclock from Aspire. Until then, taking the free card push they can get, but they don't nano. They just go in. This is not to plan. This is not to spec for Titans. When you look at those ultimates, the order is supposed to be the other way, and they just didn't quite get it right.
You can see exactly how Trick Room want to deal with this as well. I mean, we all know full and well that Winston is a tank that needs a little bit of help sometimes. I mean, you can't just dive forward and expect to just live through everything. That bubble, you can have people run through it and just still pressure you. You could see that bubble go down, and then what are you left with? Not very much, right? So Titans have to make sure to keep Punk upright, and Trick Room are doing their best to ensure that that's not going to work out for them.
Little counter dive in by Infected. I love that roll backwards. That's the peel that they needed. The nano boost falls completely flat. I mean, this is Soda that's been out for 24 hours plus flat. That being said, the next dive, not so bad. Pummy down. Same goes for the Invocation Matrix, but they don't find any purchase with it. Titans dive the high ground, and this time is far more successful. They get those ultimates in the right order, and they push that card along.
Yeah, that aggression from Titans just kind of caught Trick Room out and forced them to pull out a little bit more than I think they would have liked. Where Hanbei, we saw, of course, pulling the Transcendence, and Titans just waiting it out, had no problem just kind of sitting below them. Kind of what accounted for a pretty good soft dive, even though they did kind of hard engage with it, right? Like, it kind of worked out like that.
It was a little bit of absurd spy checking by Aspire. I mean, the man just threw his mouse across the room and prayed for the best and actually managed to find Pummy in the meantime. Oh, well, fortune is on his side right about now. Not quite on the side of Faith, but they do get the boop just enough to put the mines in a less optimal position. It's not going to dissuade Infected from diving onto the high ground anytime soon, but Trick Room are okay with that. They don't have the ultimates to take a fight proper here, so they're just trying to buy time.
Oh, this overclock could be huge from Aspire. Nobody really there to contest at all, so he's just going to be taking free shots whenever he decides to go ahead with this. And he's getting into an even better position.
Oh my god. He's going to give me a headache with the spy checking.
This ends now.
Nice slide away, denies the dive. There's the overclock. Oh, Trick Room almost got away. They almost got away. Mateball by the hair on his chinny chin chin was caught by Aspire, who picks up another one in boat. That's going to be point B going to Titans.
Exactly how it was planned up, drawn up. Aspire just freely taking those shots. We can see Trick Room still trying to invest in this, but without the ability to throw in kind of some of those late sustaining ultimates, just not going to work out for them.
Yeah, staggering as much time, and they have done a good job. I mean, take a look at the time bank. Down to 50 seconds. There's been a lot of intermediate cart contests coming out from Boat and Infected, who have torn time off the clock bit by bit.
Yeah, on top of that, forcing Titans to have to spend time in some of their setups, like, you know, making sure that they're just taking some time, even in forcing Titans to get into position before they can actually take some of these fights. And that's going to continue to happen. That's just the nature of this composition that Titans are running. They have to make sure that they set up, otherwise these fights are going to be that much harder.
Speaking of setup, there's that EMP from Pummy. If there's one thing I like to talk about Pummy with, it's the EMPs. He uses them so interestingly, right? If there's a target he needs to hit, like a Kiriko or something, he's gonna hit him. But other than that, this man's willing to throw him out onto one target and just take them down. And that's exactly what we see out of Trick Room. That's enough to win the fight. They're gonna throw in a Kitsune Rush to try and find some extra value on the back end, and it's looking like a big whiff.
Yeah, I mean, great job from Titans to just pull away from that one, and now they're going to have both of their support ults. Remember what we saw from Titans the last time that we saw them invest, especially from Crimzo's POV. So look to see how they want to go forward with this one, and they might not even need that much.
I mean, Sound Barrier into Mines, I actually think it's a pretty good trade for Trick Room, considering the ultimates that are available. They'll have Sound Barrier for the next fight, so they lose here, but overall, in terms of ultimate economy, they were going to be losing by a lot more if the trade didn't happen as that did.
Yeah, I remember as well that Trick Room not particularly winning a lot of these engagements right now, right? I mean, in terms of the fight win rate, not looking pretty for Trick Room, but they are pulling that time away, and this is where things get really difficult for Titans with Silent.
Oh! Throws out a pulse bomb, but it's a prayer at best. Trying to catch down the likes of Punk, who's still low. This man's dead. He's so low. Please kill Punk. Thank you. Okay, all is right in the world here. It's okay. Winston's at 50 HP, will die.
We did see a Boostio in there as well. So, I mean, you know, either way.
Happens to the best of us.
Spaghetti, perhaps, nonetheless, Titans are going to be pulling back. Oh, man. Trick Room's already trying to get in their head.
I think it might work. He's tricking him into walking into this EMP. This is mental damage that's being done. Oh, God. Is he actually going to set up this EMP? Punk might have heard that translocator go down. Here's the EMP. It only hits a Spire. Do they get him? No, but it does zone away. Punk's got to touch his cart on his own now, and he does. Hanbei falls. And Titans don't fall into the trap. They're going to push on forward. Maple, Pommy down now. Escorted by the Deadeye. We will see the end of Hollywood. Dude, I thought it was curtains. I thought their goose was cooked. For sure.
Trick Room may want to settle down with the typing a little bit and focus more on the playing part. It's starting to seem like that. Titans did a good job of finishing the map there. Now they'll have to see what they can accomplish here on their defense. I mean, obviously, Titans are going to make fun of themselves a little bit for the Boostio, but hey, they got the job done, and that's what truly matters. Trick Room aren't going to stop, are they?
No, dude, they said they're just here to have fun. And again, talking to them before they came here, they were like, look, man, we're going to show up. We're going to play against Overwatch League teams, and what happens, happens. Like, yeah. the mindset was lax, to say the least. And they've had a lot of fun with it, but it has led to a couple mistakes, man. I mean, that EMP from Pummy certainly could have been better at the end. Fired a bit prematurely, for sure. Oh, do we definitely get... Oh, I'm getting word. We get a special replay. Oh, yes, here it is. Crimzo in all of his glory. Long-time Overwatch League player. Just giving one to Faith.
I was actually surprised to see that, because I thought that was going into Punk, but it was actually a Spire who was taking some pressure, and a little bit of an oopsie on that one. But nonetheless, Titans, like we said, I mean, they still got the job done, so... Not too expensive on that one. Either way, Trick Room, it is their turn to attack here. They can kind of control the tempo here a little bit better on their attacking side, as Titans, they're going to be actually hosting a Brig in this composition, which is something you honestly do not see in this meta all that often. I mean, it's a great pick, especially paired with an Ana, and even with the Winston tank, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. You just don't see it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, also with the Cassidy being there, I mean, this bodyguard on a composition at its finest. But with Punk backing away, Trick Room start contesting the point, and then questions start getting raised. How do you actually engage onto Trick Room without making yourself vulnerable? Aspire falls. The Brig only has so many juice boxes in her back pocket, and it's only getting rougher here. They're going to try and turn this into engage with their own, diving onto Pommy and Hanbei. It's a DPS race, though, between the likes of them. With Infected and Boat stuck on point, though, unable to finish off health bars, and Punk and Faith sustaining outside of main choke. This is a clown fiesta in every sense of the term.
Yeah, and while it was a DPS race before, it's a race back to get into position here, especially from the perspective of Titans. They need to get set back up so that they can prepare for the next fight, the next engage that's going to come in from Boat, from Infected.
There's that dive, a whip shot, sends Infected right on back. Okay, try again. Second round. Reset the cooldowns. Okay, do it again now. You get to go in, but so do Titans, who throw in a pulse bomb. Sugar Free just can't find anything and gets the beans from Boat, man. I mean, every last one of those pellets hit a mate ball. Traded out. High ground belongs to Titans, though, and with that high ground, they're going to nano boost up Aspire and look for kills on the back line.
Great timing as well. I mean, I think a little bit of investment from Titans that they may have been able to hold on to. That combat role actually just does a good job of dealing with the pulse bomb. But they went ahead and just threw the nano boost in there just to be safe, just to be sure, which makes a lot of sense. But now they're going to be without that resource coming into this next fight. And while it does seem like Trick Room are struggling, they still have plenty of time. I mean, 2 minutes while they make this comp swap. They have completely shifted focus over to this Winston comp. This is something we do not see often from Trick Room.
No, this is bottom of the barrel type stuff. Can they make it work, man? This is difficult. We're kind of pulling the red lever on the wall that says panic on it. And it's not working well for us. Mate ball down. Trick Room got to reset. You get 2-3 chances tops here.
2-3 chances. What can they do with them? These fights are going to look a lot different than what we're used to seeing from Trick Room. We're used to seeing the run. We're used to seeing that wrecking ball. This is an entirely different composition. The setup, the execution, all different. And a lot of emphasis as well onto Boat. Infected, going to supply a little bit of support, but it's just not enough.
Dude, Boat's having such a hard time getting into this game. Sugar Free is man-marking him for the majority of this. With a minute left now, Trick Room, we've seen everything from them except the rush now. How are they going to make it work?
Oh, now it's Titans stepping up to the plate and going ahead with a little bit of that chatting, we'll call it. But right, I mean, they have earned it, so why not? Trick Room, on the other hand, here talked about those opportunities that they're going to have. They have whittled that down to, I mean, we're getting close to only having one more shot at this one, and it is not looking good. I mean, resources looking destitute. The one thing that they will have is Kitsune Rush. They're going to throw it out early.
Ooh, Titans want nothing to do with it. They do get squeezed back into it by Infected on the high ground. Nanabu's onto a spire. Oh, God, run away, please. No, Pummy falls. They couldn't escape. They flee like cockroaches from the light, but you simply cannot get away from this man. Aspire back up on the high ground, raining hellfire from above. Titans shut down Trick Room. And I think we'll be seeing this Contenders team take their first loss in the Pro-Am.
Dealt as well by a team that people were not as high on, which is interesting because that was the story of Trick Room through the entire qualifiers and coming into this tournament, and now it's flipped on its head. The Overwatch League team comes out ahead. They take the win 2-0. Big win, though, for Titans because, I mean, there was some concern coming into this matchup that Trick Room might be putting some other teams on notice.
Yeah, I mean, you just never know what you're going to get with this Trick Room, right? Like, we have seen the highest highs, the mediumest of mediumists, and the lowest of lows from that team, but the consistency from Vancouver was what really did it for them, and of course, backed so strongly by individual play that I think just capped it off, right? Sugar Free put up those solid performances. Punk holding strong, even despite the counter dives of Infected, and that's what you really needed to see go to town for Vancouver.
Yeah, and there was one player that, you talk about those individual performances, one did stick out. And that's going to be Sugar Free, player of the match for this one. I think it set the tone early, right? With that Pharah, we saw that 4K coming out, just absolutely obliterating, not just the entirety of Trick Room, but also, I mean, it almost felt like their morale early on in this as well, because we saw a lot from Trick Room that we are not used to seeing from them. And I think a lot of that came down to the fact that they were just perhaps outdone.
I think I'm riding the Contenders copium train a little bit hard right now, but hear me out here, Hurix, because yes, this is a good win for Vancouver, but imagine a world where the end of map 1 goes different, right? Where we're underground in Antarctica and we see a little bit of different ultimate usage, or the fight wasn't lost where they had 5 ultimates up. All of a sudden, the map 3 is a very different texture for this series overall. So it's been a little bit rough for this last map as far as Trick Room are concerned, but I don't think it was a devastating loss by any means, and I think the same could be said for a lot of the Contenders teams right now. But you clearly see today the talent that they have to step into, because I think it's those individual performances that are getting hard to match. We talked about trying to match Tracer for Tree into the likes of Atlanta, and then now it's trying to match Tracer into Sugar Free, and all these individual players that have that mechanical peak that is just unheard of.
And on top of that, too, we didn't even really see Aspire onto the Hanzo, something that coming into this matchup I thought would be a potential concern for Trick Room, and Titans didn't even have to rely on that. So, I mean, obviously stocks are up right now on Titans, especially in this group. And Trick Room, I think we still need to make sure that we consider them a threat in this group as well, because they continue to be, that will be maintained. But again, a big win for Titans, and they're able to breathe a sigh of relief. They're not going to be one of the teams that are caught off guard by a Contenders roster.
Oh, they're feeling good. The desk Preds, except for poor Lemon Kiwis, are also feeling pretty good. But let's go ahead and throw it over to them after this break.
Welcome to the Watchpoint Game Break. Zoe here, joined by the ever so lovely Lemon Kiwi and Danny, who fixed his cable just in time.
I did. I got it right this time. Production was every time I was talking, I was like, cable,
Like,
cable,
please,
cable. I'm like, oh,
please.
yeah.
Professional, by the way. Speaking of professionals,
yeah,
Jen,
we all got it right?
Yeah, Jen, how did that pick work
Yeah.
out for you? Yeah.
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 I missed the memo about wearing red too, apparently. Yeah, you know, I gotta say it's a surprise. I'm gonna throw my man Hurix under the bus, okay?
Love
we had
that.
a council,
Drag him down
tier 2
with you.
council meeting before the match. And we were like, and he was talking to Trick Room. He's like, it's obviously Trick Room. You want my predictions? Even though I didn't ask for it. Then he's like, oh, go Trick Room. 2-0 Trick Room. And then we started talking about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this all makes sense. He's seen a lot of Trick Room. He knows what he's talking about. And yeah, and then I watched him play, and I really believed it from the Shocks match yesterday. But then, you know, we got to be surprised about what Vancouver Titans played up today. They really played much better than they did yesterday, and they kited really well against all the threats against Trick Room. So I'll be okay being wrong, because that was some really good Overwatch.
Lemon, it's fine, because your pick was better than my pick about Valiant, so it's all good.
But you were trolling. I was 100% serious.
I wasn't
She just had to out here, Daddy. Take it. Take the W. Now, heading into this game, I did pick the Vancouver Titans because just, you know, they're solid, not flashy. They are coming in with this measured approach. They just get the job done. Now, I think a lot of people, when they're looking at those contenders teams, before even having seen them play, a lot of people would expect them to maybe look a bit more chaotic, maybe a little bit more scrappy. Do you feel like that is the case here, Lemon, for Trick Room?
I think that Trick Room looked good on Antarctic Peninsula, especially kind of looking back on Icebreaker. The way that Infected approached the Reinhardt versus Ramatra composition, and even in the final fight of that, just the fact that Trick Room had just the brains to decide where they wanted to take a fight instead of we have ults, let's send a W key and everybody dies. It's like a lot of what you expect in contenders is very scrappy, aggressive, not really a lot of thinking and pre-planning and considerations towards the other team. And Infected looked a lot towards Crimzo. And that's why I highlighted that Vancouver Titans had really good kiting. Crimzo knew he was going to be the target of the shatter, stayed out of LOS, was able to nano punk, kind of keep the fight viable for Titans until, of course, Trick Room had too many ultimates, and then they ended up winning Icebreaker. But I gotta say, Trick Room didn't look as good today as they did versus the Shock, but I think it was Titans being that much better today. But at least the overall playstyle of contenders is impressive, the way that they're able to pre-plan, consider what the enemy has, which is what contenders don't do a lot of because they don't have a lot of coaches and a lot of scrim time and maybe a lot of just good leadership to consider all these different factors in such a small amount of time.
Yeah, so great play there to highlight from you, Infected, with that really patient approach to it, which, as you said, we don't get to see that often. Also, really a huge shout out to the picture we used for Infected. That was his best picture on MySpace. We absolutely love to see it.
Is? I'm pretty sure
Probably not. Probably not. It's actually probably too young. I just aged myself. Anyway, moving on. We do have an interview ready for all of you, and that is with no other than the man himself. I think I said it about everyone we get on, but this time I really mean it. It's Punk, our favorite Aussie. Yeah, that's right, Mitch.
Hello.
That's right, Costa. Punk is our favorite. Punk, how you doing?
Good. Feeling good after a little
good
win, so.
Yeah, just a little win. That always feels good. That is actually a second victory. Both of those victories against contenders teams. Do you feel like you and your team have truly been tested by those teams yet? Or is there still so much more of the Vancouver Titans we haven't seen?
I think there's still a lot of us to show. I think it's pretty good, though, that our schedule works this way because we both the two contenders teams first. And then we go on to Mayhem and Shock. So we thought originally that would just go in a exponential increase of team level, but apparently not. Apparently Mayhem's the team to beat. So there's still more to show, but yeah, good to get a win.
Yeah, and I mean, I think right now, Vancouver Titans, you guys have been showing us a lot of different looks, and Punk, for you as well. Like, you've been showing us Winston, Wrecking Ball, Ramatra, and everything. So I just want to ask you, like, do you have a favorite tank hero that you like to play in the Pro-Am tournament?
Favorite tank? I mean, I've still got a ways to go on Wrecking Ball and Monkey and everything like that, but they're very fun to play when you're doing it right. So I think Monkey's pretty fun right now, just the whole process. But
Monkey's fun.
Definitely some room to improve.
No, I think you're great.
I think I'm up
so
there with
nice.
Fearless, but that's right.
Well, Punk, you've grown up so much since your diva days, and to hear you say you like the wins, I mean, it's crazy how far you've come. And of course, your career has no bounds now that you find yourself, it feels like, on a more successful team. How do you feel about where your career is going now that you're on a new team, you're on the Titans? What are your hopes for the season?
I've got pretty high hopes. I mean, I've been with Boston for a while, and I never quite got to where I wanted to be. I think I wanted to make those lands, make the tournaments, get that part of being a pro in my life. But so that's my main goal with Titans right now, and it's great to have the team we have now. Like, we've all got really good players. It feels really good to have some DPS power, some punching power, and everyone's just working really well. So it's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, you and the entire team, you put up the numbers. We're looking at them right now on screen of your Winston stats for this very match, and it is looking good. Punk, we so hope to see much more of that. Mayhem are coming up next. What are your first few thoughts after seeing them play?
I think they're really strong. I think they could be one of the best teams up there with Atlanta and the likes of them. So I think they've got it sorted.
Right, so you guys have your work cut out for you for your next match in your group. Punk, thank you so much. Congratulations again on the victory, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Thanks, Punk.
Punk, always such a pleasure to talk to. And yeah, we're now moving on to our last match of the day already. It's been a quick day of 2 Overwatch. Let's see if we're going to keep that up, or if Timeless are going the distance when they're facing off against the Florida Mayhem. This is going to be a big match for Timeless for sure, and a potential uphill battle because Mayhem, they looked good. Here is the squad. Lemon, you're a wubhead, I've been told.
Wubhead!
How does one become a wubhead?
How does one?
His head? It's
just...
Oh, okay.
It's such a good name.
If I want to be a wubhead, do I just have to look at his head? Wait, what?
No, you just gotta feel it. It's a vibe. On. Yeah, it's a vibe. Nice. Just whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, I'm excited for this team, although like a lot of this team is centered around the dive of Kuffa. And overall, like I've said it in the pre-show, this is the 4th place contender team coming out of North America, and you guys just heard Punk say how good Florida is. And just what's special about Florida's dive is actually a kind of a unique composition of running the Ana and the Kiriko. Usually a lot of people are running Lucio and Kiriko, or Zen or Babson. Like, this is kind of a unique version of that, because so much of their resources goes into someone. Nanos, he's got it. Kitsune rushes, he's backhanded in nitro mode. Like, everything that Florida does is around someone, and I'm finally so glad that they've realized that this is their star player, and they have to enable him as much as possible. Kind of in the same vein as the way London enable Hadi and the way how good he looks on tank because of that. I think we can see someone being a role star this year with how good he looks already.
Right.
And I mean, it is partially also, of course, due to the support he's having with Merit on the team, Checkmate. They've been carving out a lot of space for him as well, ensuring together with the support line that, you know, someone can go in and out of that battle and just push it. And they can play really aggressive that way. Now, we do have predictions coming up to see where we're going with this. I don't know, Jen, are you going to be bold again, picking the contenders team or not? I'm going to stick to the true and tested Florida Mayhem for me all the way. I think they are a top contender in the entire Pro-Am tournament, if not the actual season. They are looking good. I might overhype them right now, and this is going to come back to haunt me, but I loved what I'm seeing so far. How about you, Danny?
I mean, I'm on the same boat, and I have to go with Florida Mayhem just because Punk said they're a really good team, and, you know, what do I know about the game? If Punk says that they're good, I gotta trust him. I trust players.
Sure, we do
100%.
trust Punk.
Yeah, I gotta agree with the Florida take. They have some of the cleanest dives right now, and I think someone did look like one of the best Winstons last year, and now he's being enabled even more. And the fact that Checkmate is stepping up on that Tracer role bigger and better than before, I think it's going to synergize better. Although I do miss his Genji a lot, it sounds like Florida are kind of fixing their weaknesses that they had last year. They got some upgrades in their support line, and I think Merida, not necessarily I consider an upgrade over Hydron, but someone that maybe fits the play style of the team, and I like where Florida's direction is going.
All right, and they are up next against Timeless. This is going to be the last match of the day, and we will be back with the desk to break it all down after all the action is transpiring on the server. So for now, we're going to head over to our casters, Door and Hurix. And Hurix, how dare you misleading Jen for her prediction there? Can't believe you did that.
You liar!
I appreciate it, Zoe, but Hurix, I don't think that's what Punk meant by down under.
Dude, if we're going to get into some dive, let's get into some dive. That's all I'm going to say, because that's what I'm expecting here from this match. I got to be honest. I got to take these off. These are so dusty. I don't swim ever. But yeah, this is kind of the expectation that I have coming in here, because that was something that we loved seeing from Mayhem. Also, we do have to kind of touch on this subject. It is the elephant in the room. Jen made
that was definitely your goggles. It was the elephant in the room.
No, Lemon made up all that information that she just went through before. That is all lies and slander. No one's gonna believe that.
I don't know. Jen's pretty convincing. I like Lemon Kiwi.
I paid you off.
Just don't check my PayPal. That's all I'll say. All right, first up, Nepal. Florida Mayhem versus Timeless. How do you think this one's going down?
Well, I mean, like we talked about, Mayhem is a very good dive team. Why get away from the dive? That's something that they've obviously had a tremendous amount of success with. Now, of course, with the new additions for this roster and everything that they've surrounded someone with, clearly a very tank, centered team. They've had a tremendous amount of success with that. Now, also on the other side, Timeless, I think a lot of people may not be aware of this because of what we've seen from them so far in this tournament. But when you go back and look at qualifiers and even further back into Kuppa's history especially, this is a team that does like to play the dive. So while they have played a lot more Ramatra, well, historically, they have been more of a dive-focused team. I don't see them playing that, especially in a mirror against Mayhem, who obviously also will probably go ahead with the Ramatra setup for this one here. It is Village. Pretty much need to play this here. It's this or Ryan.
Yep, going in with the rush, bringing a Bastion along for what it looks like. Florida Mayhem, I'm curious to see what their second DPS is. See in a minute.
That's something to look out for as well, because with the Bastion, you have the ability to just absolutely key up that tempo, like we've talked about before, throw up that Nemesis, just speed in, and just rip a tank apart. And that is something that we could see here happen for Timeless in their favor if someone isn't careful about timing with this block.
Yeah, Wub's already forced out an ice block, so Timeless get to play more aggressive, and the Mayhem might be able to now, but it's Timeless on the back foot. Kuppa under duress. Oh my god, the health bar is low. Oh, he almost got out. Almost. Horseshoes and hand grenades kind of thing, though. His health bar did hit 0 eventually.
Just like that, Mayhem come out ahead this time around. And of course, Wub could put out as much pressure as he wants to, but someone very capable and willing to accept that pressure. Rupel just doing a great job as well of stabilizing that tank. Remember, Mayhem do like to put those resources towards someone. That is something that they have done so far already in this tournament and look to continue to do as well.
Pressure up now from Timeless, trying to take that high ground. The point has just gone over to Florida Mayhem, so remember, the percentage is ticking up for them. Nemesis form thrown out by both Rams. The Amplification Matrix out first for Timeless. Can they capitalize? The health bars are low on Mayhem's side, but they flipped this one on its head with a Matrix of their own. Merit, RuPaul, Checkmate, and the like, all getting in on the action.
That's 2 in a row here as well. Mayhem establishing some early momentum. Now they're going to build up those ultimates as well, because they are pretty handily winning these engagements, and that's huge, because off of that one neutral fight where Mayhem were able to contest Wub's Bastion, and now you see that swap as well, of course, with Wub, who has already swapped over to the Cassidy. I mean, now they have high ground control, they're going to have ultimates, they're going to have great utility, great positioning. What more could you ask for in this situation?
You can. I mean, it's a dream come true. Santa is giving them everything they want for this not-so-Christmas, and now they can just wait. I mean, they can sit here and vibe, throw down a Blizzard. Should be able to capitalize on this as well. A Sound Bear. Okay, you know what? We're getting into too much territory right now for Mayhem, but you know what? Timeless are investing as well, so it's probably worth it. With Kuffa down, they should be able to clean up the rest of this fight. And on top of that, the ult bank of Timeless.
Yeah, I mean, so much of this is going to be timing here because Mayhem are forcing this to get up near 85, 90% before Timeless are even going to have a shot at getting over to the objective where they have to play the point, which means Mayhem now have a great way of being able to take this next fight where they're going to be able to use their amplification matrix. They're going to have the ability to match as well Merit's ultimate to Wub, whereas Timeless, they have to play someone on point here. It's a mandatory requirement.
Oh, Doom down first as well from Merit. A great trade. Wub's managed to kill himself with a magnetic grenade. That's not going to bode any better for Timeless. I mean, Hurix, it's a good thing you brought the goggles because Timeless are in deep Florida water right about now.
We know a little bit something about that.